that momentum as V5 get the Taliyah that we were just talking about. That is a flex between jungle and mid. I will say, though, that Rookie has looked exceptional on this pick. And now LNG, you've got to figure out where you want to take your draft.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. But now, going straight towards the Lucian. I mean,
wow.
LNG have been one of the teams that have looked like competent and look solid when they go for the Lucian Nami. Really, one of the only ones is V5. Answering back with some spice of their own. Bring out the kog'maw. We've already seen Photic play it once this split, the kog'maw lulu, and it was a win. So I'm curious to see how this one goes. I can't remember who V5 played in that matchup off the top of my head, but I remember them completely destroying the bot lane 2v2.
Yeah, it was not pretty, to say the least, but we'll see what it ends up working towards. Photic, of course, has had a fantastic split. You can even think of Photic as a general player at the moment, where he's just been absolutely absurd, just his meteoric rise. Like, don't forget, this is a guy that was on top esports for a while, didn't click at the moment. They swapped him out for Jackie Love, and then finally has found his home on the V5, and a roster that just seems to be working. So very excited to see what he can do with it.
I remember it was their first series of the split against TT, where I remember Karsa's Poppy, and I just remember watching them completely destroy TT's bot lane in this exact matchup, and then like, is this supposed to be this bad? So I'm excited to see what V5 are able to do on it against, again, a bot lane who has made the Lucian Nami work so well. So already kind of indexing into LNG, wanting to play a bit more proactively, a little bit more aggressively around the spot lane in the early game, to where V5 feels like you definitely have some options. Even at the first item mark, I feel like kog'maw lulu comes on pretty strong, and having the global presence of the Taliyah in mid can maybe shut down Light and Lumao from finding the aggression they want.
Yeah, I will say as well, just going to add on to your Lulu kog'maw matchup the last time we saw Photic play it, that was into the Lucian Nami as well. That was into Puff and Southwind on that particular matchup. They did have to match the Galio into the mid lane, but the Taliyah does a very similar thing of roaming around, setting up these like pockets of area where you can and cannot traverse. So now we can come back into the draft after we saw those two big globals that I just talked about from V5 being banned away, the Galio, the Twist of Fate. They're going to go with the Lissandra. It does do something similar, just not as fast.
Yeah, now for V5, where they want to go with their jungle pick. I mean, we still have things like Viego on the board. Right now, kind of going through some other options, but no, wanting to go back to the Trundle. So, gonna at least look to bring a bit more peel onto the board. And again, things like Trundle Pillar can sit up really well from like cutting off the escape path of someone on LNG, maybe setting up for an easier seismic shove coming out from Rookie, and just rounding it out with another frontliner on the top side for Rich.
Getting yourself a front to back. This is just a setup Photic to win composition. Yes, it is still going to be Rookie onto the Taliyah. Still will be able to do exceptional work with that, but it is going to be a big ask to try and get killed off this kog'maw. But with the tools they have available to them, it's not like LNG are lacking in answers. If you're able to get some of that point and click CC, if you're able to kite away with the tidal wave and get on top of people with the Lucian, that's where you could find your opportunities here to try and take down V5's Photic.
And I feel like our two drafts kind of come into like very maybe general answers of like LNG have opted into full burst, right? Get your one combo onto the kog'maw and hope you can take him down and that wild growth isn't like doing enough to keep him alive and that he's not repositioning well. But V5, way more DPS and way more tanky with the front line that they have. So I feel like we're going to be seeing fights pretty consistently. If we get 5v5s, if V5 can live out through the initial burst, they should be able to win out, right? They just have better frontline. They have better sustain stools available on the Rift, to where for LNG, they're really going to have to make use of their early power spike to be able to come out ahead. And then I feel like Doinb and Tarzan, especially on the Lissandra Wukong, are going to do a great job of locking down Photic's kog'maw to make sure he doesn't become too unstoppable.
That's the big thing. I think if you can keep the kog'maw down early, making sure he's not getting the 2-3 items, at the same spike as your AD carry, that's where you can take advantage of it. But that does mean you are looking towards Lumao and Light to be very aggressive. They need to be making sure this Lucian Nami combination works in their favor, because if you pick this and you end up going to 3 items, you're just not going to be relevant. The range discrepancy the kog'maw has over you is just going to be too big.
And that's why not only bot lane, but mid-jungle, enabling them to do so, trying to find the ability to move and make their way down to the bot lane. So our top lane, gonna be, some burly champions slapping each other. I guess Gwen's not that tanky, but, she might as well be that tanky.
She might as well, with the resistances and, of course, the immunity. But we will jump on to the Rift for Game 1, as we can now see V5 Pushing forward, they'll already get a nice little cheeky ward take away already, so nice start to the game for them, you would imagine, as they kind of sweep out that vision. They know that no one's playing aggressive on the side of LNG.
Does give them a little bit of brush control on bot side as well. Like, LNG can make their way in now and try and clear that one out, and maybe use Light's Ward to be able to keep up that brush control and get some more favorable trades coming through. But we'll see if they want to dedicate those resources to that. So I think both teams, I mean, for LNG especially, right, playing down towards the bottom lane, seeing if Tarzan can provide any early impact. Does look like he's going to be starting in his bot quadrant of the jungle, but still will give openings to be able to look for plays. But V5, I wonder if they're looking to be a little bit cheeky with a late invade.
Yeah, they are. They don't really know exactly where anyone from LNG is, as no one did show. But we now see that pandac and Rich are going to end up going toe-to-toe in the top side here, but it is just going to be Tarzan starting on his wolves, and they have full vision of that, so they know that they're there, but that also gives over to LNG that blue buff is gone. So now do they look to try and maybe make something aggressive in this bot side? Photic looking to try and just push away kog'maw from this bot side, and again, without your jungler here in the vicinity, and a Trundle of all junglers on the enemy team, you can't be that aggressive here as LNG.
Even just factoring in that, I mean, Lucian Nami definitely not like the most insane at level 1. Something we've hit on a lot throughout the split since we've had it so much, right? Coming online, once you have those full combos in, Lucian can dash forward, get the damage down, and really just prevent them from being able to take over. So they're doing a nice job of trying to like keep them away from the wave, and they should be able to hit level 2 first as well.
Yeah, they should be able to go for it, as we do see now Tarzan recognizing that his blue buff is gone, so he's going to be able to trade that one back. Rookie, though, is coming in here with Xiaolan Bao. They should be able to secure this here, there, as the Wukong. If he goes for the Gromp, that's where this gets a little bit dicey. He actually hasn't got himself a smite, so he's going to have to go for it. No, he can't. Rookie steals it away, so that's perfect for the side of V5. And Tarzan, he wanted to go for the aggression, and sadly was punished for it. Disaster for LNG, but V5, they call it perfectly.
Great job by V5 to put him in that position, right? By invading his jungle, level 1, and making him feel forced to look for the counter jungle on enemy blue. He had top prio, so he's thinking, hey, I could get this, I'll be fine, and I could make it out before anyone's able to follow up. But we already highlighted how good Rookie's been at enabling his jungler and enabling his teammates. Also good at hitting those seismic shoves. Now we'll see what Xiaolan Bao can do, because you can even just look to rinse and repeat, but pandac kind of checking out what's going on around river.
Yeah, XLB, though, is just kind of finding himself around the side here. They do know he's there, though, so pandac not going to be caught out by this, you would imagine, and no real reason for him to walk over to this. Never mind, he's going to do it anyway, because they know now that the Trundle is here. pandac going to skip and snip himself over the wall, very close to getting hit there by that pillar, but it ends up being a good defense here by the top laners. Oh, a good bubble, but Light, he needs to be very careful. Photic flashes away and gets the heal out of him as well. They've burned all summoners nearly in bot side. Only the sports left with their flashes.
Nice response coming out from LNG. That was so close to being able for them to find the kill onto Photic. And when we were hitting on that, they've really been one of the bot lanes who've actually been able to maneuver this Lucian Nami. It's great to see them keep it up. But now, with Xiaolan Bao making his way back towards the bottom half of the rift, they've gotten themselves both Scuttle Crabs, and they can give some safety to Photic and ppgod.
Yeah, a little bit of safety there, as you can see there. Doinb versus Rookie coming out onto your screens there. And again, Rookie second in KDA for mid laners is kind of crazy. Again, had a little bit of a slow start, because he didn't start, to be perfectly honest.
I was going to say,
so,
he didn't have a start.
Yeah, it didn't have a start, but when he got back into the league, it just felt like he never left. We can see now pandac just trying to be aggressive here, and this could work out in his favor. He's got the ghost. He's going to pop it. There is no flash here for Rich. One more sniff would be able to do it, but he didn't quite get it fully stacked up, so just going to lose that summoner. The ignite did come down from Rich, but I like this from the Gwen. This is what pandac's going to have to do. On this Gwen pick, you need to be getting that early priority. And
just knowing that he is like a favorable time looking for trades in this matchup, like you'd have to be a little bit wary of the ignite and maybe the all-in at 6, but right, most of the time when we see Sejuani come out, it is into the Gnar because of the kill threat you have when he is in mini Gnar form. I feel like Gwen definitely faring a lot better in this matchup, and pandac should be able to do just fine. Sadly, I don't feel like top lane matchup matters all too much in the context of this game. It is a lot more about mid-jungle of LNG and then transitioning that down to bot, to where V5, I think, are playing it right, just enabling their bot lane outright. Rookie can be able to deal with his waves on his own and find roam timings as we get the dive.
Oh, we do get the dive. Remember, there's no flash here on Light, but he's trying to turn this one back onto ppgod. Not quite able to do it, and that's going to be 2 kills. Again and again, we see our top teams executing on these dives so perfectly.
It was an admirable attempt by Light, was able to force out the flash from ppgod and get some damage down. But like you said, the execution of the dive coming out from V5 was just too good. The heavy trading from earlier and the fact that Xiaolongbao just passed straight down to bot had been hovering around this half of the map the whole time. As we're going to get just an instant replay right after it's done. They go in. ppgod, actually the one to initially tank. Turret, knowing he's ranged, can back off more easily. Light tries to bring him down by going in. Sadly, isn't able to, which allows Photic to finish it off. And Xiaolongbao had actually been working on Lumao the whole time.
Yeah, really good turret aggro there coming out from the side of V5. And again, like, it's always that thing of people saying, like, you know, oh, no one goes for turret dives. Yeah, I was going to say, they're going to keep going for it. Lumao is going to probably have to force his own flash out of here, or the seismic shove would have hit. And there's so much extra terrain with a Trundle and a Taliyah. It's so hard to navigate.
And that's what we were talking about, right? That kind of setup where you can put the pillar behind them. And, I mean, if they don't flash, you pretty much guarantee the seismic shove able to come through. So, kind of really cool example of it coming out from Victory 5. But just the fact that they were, once again, so ready to head down towards that bottom half of the map. Xiaolongbao's like, I don't care about my wolves or anything else going on top side. We know what our win condition is, and they're constantly looking for this opportunity.
Gonna go again. This time around, though, it looks like LNG have set themselves up for success. We did see a replay up on that top side of a good trade coming out here for Rich onto pandac, but doesn't lead into anything else, and now we can start to see this blue buff 4v4. Welcome to the LPL, where everything's an objective. It doesn't matter if it's one of the big ones. It's got to be anything and everything. But V5 recognize they're not really in a position to contest it right now, and they back themselves away. But they're just showing to LNG you can't get anything for free in this game. And I gotta say, for V5, yes, they have 3 kills. That's 3 kills onto a Trundle. Trundle in the early to mid game is obnoxious, to say the least. And he's this fed, it's gonna be so hard for LNG to really do anything about it.
Oh, definitely, right? Even just like looking at their damage, we said kind of coming in under the profile of Burst, and Xiaolongbao eventually is going to get pretty huge and hard to take down. And even going back to that invade, right? Even if you don't get anything, the fact that you pull LNG's members out of their lanes into their jungle, since you will then be leaving first, you get your lanes first, you're able to just guarantee the tempo and the push to be able to make the next move once again. So at the end of the day, even if that didn't get anything tangible, V5 were still able to keep up tempo with the play that they made.
And that's the big thing, the tempo that we like to talk about there. And V5, they're enjoying the tempo that they have, because you're keeping Light down. He's not even level 6 yet compared to Photic, who is. He's 25 CS down. He has a 50% deficit on his enemy laners. So this is now becoming a bit of an issue, and you pick the Lucian Nami to have that kill pressure, to try and get that first item spike and look to try and punish with it. It's just not really coming to fruition right now. So V5 happy with the tempo of the game, the pressure that they've been able to kind of accrue. And it's just difficult for them to really go for anything here. Look at Numao. He can't even walk forward.
No, the fact that they haven't been able to find an advantage, and V5 have been putting so much attention towards the side, just makes it so easy for them. The poke now coming through, the level advantage. But the thing I'm most curious about is what V5 do with this. Like, do you try and keep isolated lanes and play for Herald, because we do see Xiaolongbao up there now? Or I wonder if they would eventually rotate. It does look like they're going for the dive.
They're going to go for the straight dive. They're going to put the exhaust down. Photic, though, may have gone a little bit too far forward, and he ends up paying for it with his life. The Wild Growth just came in for ppgod, but just not quite quick enough. And that means they're going to end up trading him. Not quite sure. I think that's worth it there for V5. They go very aggressive and end up trading 2 summoners for the side of 1 on the side of LNG.
I think it's definitely not, just even from the standpoint of Light survived, Light's able to pick up the wave and get the push, to where maybe had you taken out Light and both AD carries go down, it's like, okay, he still keeps up his advantage, but not to the same extent. We'll be able to get Blade of the Rune King, and at the same time, as we were wondering what V5 would do, they're getting engaged on.
They are getting engaged on. Xiaolongbao has to flash over the wall, as he did use the subjugate as well. Tarzan was in a good position, and we haven't been seeing a lot of Tarzan in this early game, mainly because of the early game plays from V5. But now that he's at level 6, that Cyclone combination alongside the Glacial Tomb is going to be pretty significant if they can find an isolated target.
Yeah, not going to have the Cyclone up for whatever they want to do now, though, so I don't know if V5 would maybe try and look for some sort of Drake play, but with Xiaolongbao also not having his ulti up, feels like it could be a little bit hard.
Oh, Rookie forced the flash away. He did have the cleanse, though, because of the spell book, so he keeps himself alive, but that means LNG, they get full priority on this Dragon, unless we see a steal coming in from XLB, which he's nowhere near for this. That means first Dragon to LNG. Very well played.
LNG just kind of punishing some missteps coming out from V5, despite them having that gold lead. We're going to go back in, and I mean, ppgod's already 6 here. I don't know if maybe just slightly too low.
No mana.
No mana, yep. slightly too low on the mana to be able to come forward to go for this.
Oh, God. Not gonna lie, slightly terrifying. Thank you, observers, for that particular nightmare fuel coming into the game. But Doinb now recognizing that he had priority in the mid lane. Rookie did have to back away, so he gets himself a push in mid, equals up the CS there. And now we start to see where you want to try and go with this one here, because you got Blade the Ruined King with V5. How do V5 want to continue to play this early game? Because they're being very aggressive.
I mean, their blueprint stock and standard. They're doing it now once again. You keep hovering, you know, like around mid. Rookie gets his pressure. Probably could have even gotten him for free at that point, considering that Doinb had just used a lot to push the wave. And then make your way down to bot like this, trying to force the aggression. The nice thing is LNG have read this well. They've actually even brought pandac down to the play. So if LNG can bait a fight here, it would be huge.
I mean, the wave's going to push in now in a second. pandac even drops down a little ward there for Doinb to maybe see if he can catch somebody out. But speaking of catching somebody out, the Aqua Prison is magnificent. And LNG, like you said, they read V5 like a book. And V5 don't have an answer for this because the TP brings you straight back to top.
The thing is, there isn't really too much you can turn this into in terms of neutral objectives, right? No Dragon on the map, no Rift Herald, and with Channeling Belt hovering in the area, they can't even turn it into a plate. So it is a nice kill, especially just trying to get light back in like reaching distance in terms of CS, because right now Photic 114 compared to 76 for light. But yeah, so it's a nice little bit of relief, but doesn't turn into too much pressure for LNG.
It won't turn into too much pressure, but it does keep V5 on their toes. Rich will take this moment to take away a camp on the LNG side, and now LNG with that dragon in tow. They've got 3 minutes to the next one. They are trying to see if they can get back control, and again, we're back towards this blue buff lyric. XLB alongside V5's Rookie and ppgod should be able to secure this one in terms of a steal, and there should not be any repercussions. As I say that, though, they might try and go on top of this one here. Rookie doesn't have flash or cleanse like the last time he was in mid lane, and a great capitalization from LNG. They keep picking up these picks and keeping up the pace of the game.
And we're seeing the difference in LNG moving as a unit, right? After the early shenanigans, they've been so wary, so we're seeing Light, Tarzan, and Lumao consistently walking together, and they're catching out these isolated members of E5 who are either walking alone or walking in pairs of two. So they will be able to rack bot lane and try and stop this Herald from going down. Will be able to get a pretty sizable charge, but it feels like a lot of the momentum that V5 had has stalled. Despite the fact that they're still in a gold lead, it's been LNG back to back finding the kills.
Yeah, don't forget, this was a 3-0 start for V5. Now 4-3 in terms of the kills. Only about a 1,500, not even gold lead coming out for them now. The Dragons will do well for LNG if they can get those stacking for themselves. And pandac almost up to level 18, level 11 now as well. So with that Riftmaker, he's going to be pretty damn significant in these team fights if he can get onto Photic. And that's where we're going to have to try and look at ourselves. But we'll wait until see when that happens. And if that will be happening anytime soon. For the moment, we are just going to try to see both teams trying to gain control around this dragon pit. Still a minute 30 until that dragon spawns, but already V5 getting some decent vision control around that mid lane, and especially around those ramps as well.
Yeah, V5, they just keep rinsing and repeating in terms of what they're looking for. If they were able to get some deeper vision into enemy jungle, they then at least could have a better idea of Tarzan's path. I believe they did just spot him with the control ward they had around red buff. Because if they do that right, you can try and time these windows to where you know they can't stack and match you with numbers, or do cheeky things like they did before with pandac in terms of like him being down there as well.
Yeah, now with the turret plates down, this turret is pretty easy pickings for the side of V5, especially when you've got that Bio-Arcane Barrage. And you just get yourself the extra little bit of range there. And now Doinb, he needs to be a little bit careful. He will get the Everfrost down, and oh, that's a little bit of an unfortunate misstep there from XLB. His pillar actually knocks him off the seismic shove, so they weren't able to bring Doinb back, and that means that Doinb shall live to fight another day.
At the very least, V5 do open up the map, so we'll be able to give them maybe a little bit more freedom to move around. Dragon coming up in 30 seconds. Rift Herald also coming up in 30 seconds. So we're going to get to see how the teams opt into this choice. LNG, with a team with Prio in top so far, you'd assume maybe want to try and make a swing for this, but V5 already forcing their way in just through their own jungle.
Yeah, they're just basically committing their entire bot lane because they've already taken the tower. They don't need to push in that bot side. There's nothing really for them to take, so it's going to be pandac just getting pushed in this top side. Does not have TP to try and rejoin his team, and it looks like they're kind of caught between two things. It looks like, honestly, V5 could probably take both the Rift Herald and the Dragon. They've already sent Rookie down towards that bot side. They can rotate back up, and with the Weaver's Wall, he should be totally fine to be able to kind of contest this objective in the next few seconds.
Yeah, well, they at least will get a head start on Dragon, but with recalling Rich at the same time, I don't know if they would necessarily look for a posture on topside, but the fact that LNG still aren't starting this up means you're right. V5 actually might be able to take this and then look for a fight around Herald. You can see pings coming out already.
Yep. Here they go. The objective's only been started now as Tarzan's finally there, but he needs to reset it because he's already not in a great position as kog'maw. Photic, Lulu, kog'maw, my dude. It's so obnoxious. The extra picks damage is actually absurd. And now you don't have a flash on kog'maw. You got to be so careful with the next time you step up.
And you just see there, right? You throw the speed up, you throw the shield, and Photic can just run forward unafraid of what's going on. And beautiful seismic shove coming out from Rookie as well. So things so far just connecting. But Rich and Xiaolongbao are also an important part of this equation. Rich locking someone down with his ulti and Xiaolongbao taking up damage would be huge. But it looks like LNG actually just going to opt into giving this one up. They don't have confidence in taking the fight. They'll be able to push in mid, but that's about it.
Yeah, they're going to try and maybe go for the fight afterwards, or maybe just deny the take because V5 had already reset Rookie, so they couldn't really go for this. And with the push in mid lane, they gave up the Rift Herald, but not really.
It's so crazy too, right? Because V5... having the confidence and thinking the same thing, right? They're thinking, oh, LNG are contesting, they're giving it up. They just have Rookie go for the base, thinking it's fine, we'll get this ourselves. And LNG kind of coming a little bit later, dissuading them from doing it. Nice move from LNG to make sure that nothing going over in the end, because if not, right, they weren't trading, they weren't cross-mapping, they weren't finding anything else. Maybe they would have theoretically been able to get a bit more damage on the mid-turret, but that would have been it.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I'm loving this almost 5D chess-esque kind of setup for both these teams. Push and pull. As even we think V5 has completely outplayed LNG. LNG kind of called their bluff and say, no, you don't get free resets off this. Yeah, you'll get the experience and the little bit of gold for killing the Rift Herald, but you won't get the actual benefit of it. So really like that coming out from the side of LNG as we see now Rich and pandac trying to go for something here, but there's Xiaolongbao, and yeah, you're dead, my son. There's not really a lot. That was just a really good bait there from Rich.
Yeah, and we already saw him actually, he chunked out pandac quite a bit himself, bring another melee champion up, trying to stack that passive even more. He had the ignite, and now with the demolish, gonna get some serious damage down on this turret. So V5, even if they've given over quite a few picks and there has been some sloppiness, they've at least been winning in the objective game as Rookie's caught out.
Yeah, he's going to have to flash over the wall. You know that was happening there. If he gets caught out by another Aqua Prison, he is almost certainly going to die. Tarzan will get his red buff steal, so nice little objective there from them. And honestly, I think LNG have done very well at just keeping Rookie very much quiet in this game. But if V5 aren't a team that just rely on one player, they are a cohesive and terrifying unit set up of 5 different carries from all different lanes. And you got to respect it on all sides. Yes, you get Rookie down, but look at Rich, look at Photic, look at XLB. They're all so big at this point.
And especially like keeping up in items like you said earlier on, like Light and Luma not able to find that advantage. Actually, almost 50 CS behind. And Photic, once again, having complete trust in ppgod, just running him down.
Just, oh, it's so close as well, because Photic needs to be that very... He can get so much damage down and probably kill a lot of different members of the side of LNG if he can continue to get the support from ppgod. But if it goes wrong and he ends up getting called out, remember, he doesn't have a cleanse, so he gets caught out by the Frozen Tomb into an Aqua Prison or even vice versa. He will just get obliterated.
And let's remember that Lucian's effective range is like a little bit longer than what you would think for like a burst trade, because you could just like ult and Gale Force, and that would, you know, that potentially could force Wild Growth to come out, or Photic to use his flash in a situation like that. So you're definitely right in pointing out there are things to fear for Photic, so to not get too far ahead of himself, but also having the Blade of the Rune King so early, right? He's been able to keep up with the sustain and make sure that he's been fine in lane. And there it is. Ginsu's coming in clutch. So kog'maw going to be at an incredibly strong point right now in the game. And you can see V5 already maneuvering on top side, getting some deep vision down. I believe they've had that control ward up there for quite a long time and potentially going to start fishing for picks.
Fishing for picks, or even just fishing for camps. You're denying Tarzan getting up to a second item, and we talked about how pivotal Tarzan is going to be in this jungle, and right now he's falling behind because he can't really contest the Trundle. This is why you pick the Trundle. The Trundle fantastic at just stopping you from doing anything really in that jungle in a 1v1 situation. Light doing exceptionally well at just dodging everything, and now here we go. Doinb's already on the backside. They jump onto Rookie, but he has no flash, and he's already dead. They pop down the exhaust onto Photic, and Photic gets wild growthed, as we can see pandac gets completely crippled by the exhaust on the other side. Doinb, though, trying to run away. It's a double kill. Tarzan tries to get back onto Photic, who flashes away. They've still got some decent damage, though, with Light. As you can see, kog'maw and Light on this Lucian Nami combination, trying to make it work. The cleanse comes in, and he keeps keeps himself alive, not quite able to hit him with the living artillery. Oh, never mind, right on the backside, Photic stays alive. It's a 3 for 3 and an all-out brawl in the mid lane.
Man, Photic playing that so well, like almost pixel perfect on things like the flash, being able to kite out some of these key abilities, and they're still going!
They're still going, but this time around there's a turret, so there's going to be a kill back, so it's a 4 for 4. I don't think the Lulu wins this trade, unfortunately, ppgod. So 5 for 4 in favor of LNG. This is starting to heat up to be some kind of a banger lyric.
The over-aggression catches V5 in the end. But you're right, V5 had some solid moments in that, LNG had some solid moments in that fight. Doinb being able to get to the backline right away and setting up for a huge engage to come out. And now LNG keeping Tarzan on the map. We'll have first track on the Dragon, but XLB is here.
XLB is around, but he's not going to be able to contest it with Doinb and pandac all in the area. Definitely would have been a one-way trip and not even one that's guaranteed to give him success. But let's have a look at the replay here because, again, Doinb with a fantastic flank gets himself into a position where they just don't see him coming.
No, gets right behind and knows he's going to just outright take Rookie out of this fight. So having now a 5v4 for the side of V5, but Doinb took a lot of meaningful damage in the meantime. But look at Photic here, just kiting out so well, getting charges of his ulti available. And then we're going to see Tarzan look for the engage with that flash, almost pixel perfect to make sure he doesn't go down. On the opposite side, though, we see members like XLB and Rich trying to buy time, which opens them up for Light to go in. But once again, like V5 seem to understand so well, it's about putting our bodies between the enemy team and Photic so he can survive, so he can dish out the DPS.
Yeah, Photic stays alive, and even then he goes a little bit too ham. I'm going to have to stop myself now with pandac. Gets hit by a little bit of CC himself, but Rich now no longer has that Glacial Prism. And now has to back himself away, so you can see the kind of little moments there coming out. Doinb on another flank. This time around, there's a pink ward to spot him out, so they're going to know exactly where he is. He's going to go try and get in, but with the pillar and, of course, the polymorph, he's not able to make it work. They do get the tower, though, in mid, and Rich is taking a fair chunk of damage. Ooh, Lyric, this is starting to become a very tentative game. It seems to be whoever gets the better angle seems to have the advantage in these fights.
I mean, both teams understand how they should be playing this out, right? We've seen V5 kind of realizing in terms of the front to back, in terms of the peel, and LNG constantly looking for Doinb to find the angle, to find the flank, to be able to come in from. As we're going to go back once again. So I guess this is how we ended up where we just were, Photic being dead and them angling for mid. Just kind of constantly over-aggressing, right? Having a lot of confidence because he is incredibly strong right now. We've seen him able to solo dive or maybe duo dive, right? Him and ppgod always together consistently, but you're getting to a point to where it just feels like you're downplaying LNG too much. Things like the bubble, things like the wave coming out from Lumao can lock you down and allow Light to find the burst.
Yeah, and Photic does have a QSS now, but that is going to delay him a little bit in terms of becoming the super carry in the late stages of this fight, but it should keep him relatively safe. But that being said, like, there's so many things that you have to look out for. You've got the knock-up from the Cyclone, you've got the Frozen Tomb, the Aqua Prison. Even just the knock-up and the slow from the Tidal Wave is going to be significant against something that Photic has, so needs to be playing a little bit more respectfully as finally the mid lane's going to start to take a fair bit of damage. They do have a little bit more in their pocket, but now you can see with pandac and Tarzan trying to look for something here. We can see the Cyclone coming in. They're going to jump straight in. pandac just using the needlework to back everybody away. And both teams just posturing very aggressively. I will say V5 do look stronger at the moment, especially if they can keep Rich just tanking in the front line.
Especially if Photic can keep getting his poke out, right? If you can do that, then it should be pretty good. For LNG, at least, to do the sustain coming from Nami is Rookie uses the wall to separate them.
We've seen this before. Tidal Wave comes out to try and clear out this wave. You got Rookie doing some decent one, but at the double trouble on the bubble as they're going to be able to burn down XLB, and now one of your frontliners is no longer here. You got to back away now as V5, and again, we've seen V5 try and use that Weaver's Wall to force the tower to go down, but LNG call their bluff every time.
Well, it also just, this reminds me of V5 in playoffs so much, where, like, if V5 can't brute force you, they just don't know what to do. And, like, this is a game where V5 would be fine, like, playing a bit slower, getting on objectives first, as they're still fighting the poke, but, like, if they're playing around dragons, getting there first, able to force LNG into them, but they keep running head first into LNG. Head first every time. It now hasn't worked, like, 3 times in a row. Just makes you wonder when they're going to learn.
The tower still stands.
Yeah, I mean, it's even kind of weird to me that we're getting a replay like straight into this. They try to wall them off. They really just want to bring this tower down or force certain members into a small area so they can land their CC and land their damage, but they're not able to do so. And LNG have great CC chaining to come through. The Everfrost, the Tidal Wave, the Bubble, Doinb with his W with his ultimate. Just so many ways to keep them there.
It does feel like a little bit of a lack of respect coming out here from V5. And
I got it. I got it, Ashin. So, Photic, right, has been under Jackie Love. Jackie Love, if you don't know out there, has this great interview where he says he loves kog'maw because you can maximize your damage since you can still deal damage when you're dead. So maybe Photic's playing with that philosophy of like, hey, I am not getting the most out of this champion unless I keep just running. So learning from his old sensei.
His old sensei. You gotta respect the teachings of the old way. But finally, V5 take down that mid turret. It will give them a little bit of pressure now towards this mid lane. But with 2 dragons already in the back pocket for LNG, and it being a Cloud Soul, they could start to go for this. That's a significant chunk of damage they want to Photic. You can see now 3 items onto Light. He's looking fairly dangerous and feeling very confident. He goes in with the relentless pursuit and really wants to try and punish out Photic, who's already kind of at the moment where you're hovering over that wild growth as ppgod.
And again, I feel like V5 are just playing this like with too much urgency. Like they're so often the ones aggressing into LNG, and it feels like it's giving LNG just a free time to layer their CC, land their abilities. We'll see if they can get it here.
Here we go. They're not going to get the steals. It's going to be Soul Point there coming out. Tidal Wave trying to separate XLB from the rest of his team. There's going to be a good glacial prison, but Rich can't really follow up. Again, Rookie and ppgod trying to just keep Photic away from the backside of this fight. Tarzan got to get himself over the back of the wall, and this is still great from the side of LNG. They're just kind of pulling V5 away, and again, V5 are half committing to that fight, half not. It doesn't feel like the V5 from the start of the split.
I mean, with the way the game has been playing out, I actually kind of have more confidence in LNG to be able to win out, just for the fact that it seems like V5 just keep making mistakes. I mean, again, they're going to have phenomenal damage, especially as we see Photic keep stacking up items, now hitting the Runon, so it's only going to get harder and harder. XLB getting his Randuins as well, but seems like LNG are on the same page. They're constantly staying grouped up and just finding the right moment to send Doinb in. Really feels like Doinb has been the one starting off with like a lot of the CC, and it's been Tarzan and Light to be able to follow through. I mean, think about it, right? Think about how rough this game was for Light in the early game. He got focused down. He's actually still like 50 CS behind, but he's 5-2-3 and has a huge bounty.
Yeah, and LNG are also ahead in gold. LNG are the ones that are actually, kind of putting themselves into a very decent position. I will say you've got the Rabadon's death cap now for Panda C, so if he's able to get on the Photic will have to drop the exhaust immediately, you would find, for him to be able to try and keep himself alive. But like you said, 3 items and the QSS still available. Photic has the exhaust and the flash, and we're starting to see a second exhaust coming out for Rookie on his spell book, so he's going to be in a position to try and, stop anyone else who tries to get on top of this kog'maw, but only for a little while. You only get really kind of one use of that for the, kind of cooldown that it is on, but now we start to see where this game goes. And honestly, Lyric, where do you think it's going to end up happening? Because Dragon's off for 3 minutes.
First, I gotta say, the Rabadons I find so weird considering that there's already Force of Nature. There's a QSS on the enemy kog'maw as well. XLB is going to be going into Magic Resist as well, like already picking up the cloak. So definitely feels like some Magic Pen maybe would have been a little bit better. But kind of talking about in terms of where we're looking at next, I definitely want to see V5 kind of calm down a little bit. I like what they've done, get a bit of shallow vision around topside, and you could start playing to get this down. And play the long con of like kind of weaving in and out, forcing LNG into their jungle, trying to see if we can get some of this damage down. If one of them walks even a bit too far forward, you put the pillar, that can turn into a seismic shove. That could be a pick that leads to a winning fight. And LNG doing a nice job of playing out through sides with the Gwen, knowing that Rich shouldn't be able to match it.
Right now, V5 just being confident, moving forward, getting their vision down. It has been equaled out, though, by LNG. They know that they have some semi-decent setup here, but it's 5 members of V5 here. Photic taking a lot of damage here from the culling. You got the Imperial Mandate now onto the Nami, and especially with the setup that the Lucian has, you've got plenty to go for. Now Photic trying to just see if they can cover this mid lane as pandac joins up with his team. It could be a full 5v5, but the mid wave has been kind of protected for the moment by LNG. They're not quite able to get those minions to go with them, though, as they want to be a part of the fight. Now the Baron is a real moment here as pandac, very aggressive, but he's got the W, so he's immune.
Yeah, he's just playing the role of frontliner so well, trying to make sure they can't come
Is
in, but
he?
might be bursted out.
Is he playing the role of frontliner very well? Because he just got himself caught out. He tried to go onto Rich, and Rich is the frontliner. And it's just completely cursed, just as you say it. pandac gets over-aggressive and honestly just unnecessary. They didn't even burn anything on the side of V5. He wasn't even on the Photic.
Man, you just can't compliment players in this league.
No.
We were building up the V5 bot lane at the start of this one, then they start running it down. We build up pandac, runs it down, and now, you know, V5 are doing a great job with this Baron. There it is. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Good job, Lyric. I love the drama. I'm loving the setup right now. But let's see what they're able to do. You can see Photic is the only one really on this kind of Baron right now. A couple more seconds till pandac is there. He does have the TP, so he's still about 20 seconds away. And now they might try and look for a big fight. As you can see now, they're going forward. Photic does get the wild growth for himself. They're trying to burn him down, and he's dead. They've gotten rid of the kog'maw, but they still have damage with Rookie. They didn't quite get the Baron just yet. And Doinb now trying to see if he can get away. The ultimate from the Sejuani completely whiffs. His light tries to go forward. He gets jumped on and shut down. 950 gold over to the side of the Sejuani. You can see pandac wants to try and help out his team, but he's just a little bit too late. And LNG, they almost had it. These health bars are low. pandac, he's got to try and maybe make something work.
The curse wasn't strong enough, but V5 now should be able to secure themselves this Baron coming through. I love it. This time using Photic as the bait, still able to get a ton of huge damage out. I mean, pandac can go for it, but it'll be dicey.
It will be very dicey. He's going to try and maybe get some kills off the back of this
die.
one here. He's not going to die just yet, though, because he's going to be able to take down Rich out of the fight. Now XLB's trying to run away, and you see Rookie completely untouched, though, right now. As I say that, he's forced to flash away, and oh my lord, Lyric, those health bars were low. It was almost a hero play from pandac, but V5 just play it too well.
It was almost a hero play, but even with how long he waited to do it right, the enemy got Baron, so he would have found a few kills and it would have led to Dragon, but I feel like LNG could have just gotten Dragon anyway had he just stayed in mid and then they moved to Dragon first like they're doing now. So it definitely feels like a play that was a little bit redundant in terms of what the goal was.
Well, the goal right now is going to be get away from this Dragon Pit. We do not have pandac to put any kind of pressure onto Photic. Even without summoners, you still have to respect this kog'maw. And the game seems to have shifted gears again. LNG had a very solid mid game, but the late game has come and kog'maw is still very much here.
And we can go back to this initial fight. We need to remember this is a 5v4. We might actually have to end the replay soon, considering that V5 are aggressively pushing up on the bottom left-hand corner of our screens. But Rookie getting some nice damage down. They commit onto this pretty long, but hey, no more replay.
No more replay. There's the tidal wave coming out. Photic trying to see if he can get away from this tower. The tower will go down. Tarzan's on a bit of a flank, as is Doinb. They're looking to try and see if they can pinch them in. These health bars are getting relatively low, but you still got to respect the kiting. You still got to respect the damage that can come out. Good vision control here from V5 means they know exactly where Tarzan is at all times, and they can still keep themselves at safe distances. Now, can they push this into another tower on the bot side? They still have 1 minute and 30 of this Baron, but Tarzan, he's still looking for that flank.
Yeah, Tarzan is a man on a mission right now, trying to find a way in around the defenses of V5, but V5 doing a nice job of kind of keeping Rich off this angle to just spot him out and mark someone on the enemy team. And yeah, they're just going to be able to guarantee that they get this, so kind of finally finding a bit of a meaningful gold advantage, making their up to 5k gold lead.
Yeah, 5k gold lead now. Really putting the pressure onto LNG. LNG really want to try and take this fight while Photic is down on summoners. They want to try and kill him off while they have an opportunity, and he's not at his strongest, but now knocking on the inhibitor door on the bot side. Doinb already down so low. The ebb and flow will do enough, but without the mana, he's not really in a situation to keep this fight going. So it looks like they're going to end up losing out on this inhibitor, as well as Ben and Jerry, the two cannon minions in the bot side. That's what I've coined them, and that's what they'll forever be. End up taking up down that turret. So now Tarzan looking for a flank here. He's going to be able to try and put himself there, but with Rookie just playing bodyguard, it's so hard for him to get in on top of this backline.
Oh, they find some CC?
Find some CC, but not really an angle in, so the Weaver's Wall just kind of stopping everybody there. That means that you've already broken up the base on mid and in bot lane, and LNG don't quite find the opportunity to go for it. And you're at full build Photic now. He's got a GA. He's going to be able to turn that QSS into Mercurial Scimitar, so a little bit of extra damage, but in terms of effectiveness in a fight, he's there.
I also love how XLB went for the Mikhails, just again indexing into more safety for your kog'maw. If he gets locked down, we'll have that ready for the debuff. Yeah, have that and the Scimitar, and has the GA as well. Like, they really have all in on making sure that it feels impossible for Photic to be able to go down at this point. LNG have been trying their best to find angles into the fight, but V5 have kind of smartly adapted to how they were playing before in terms of they always have one member marking the flanks and marking the side, right? It started off with Rich in the jungle, then turned into Rookie on the side, just constantly throwing out those cues. So definitely how they should be playing if they want to be able to keep up this momentum. And we can see here, right, when they have Baron, I mean, LNG don't even have the range to walk up to hit a cannon minion. So gonna be keeping an eye on when that one comes up again, especially in 2 minutes. But who knows, V5 might be able to take way more in that time, especially as they're setting up the top wave to go into the tier 2 turret.
Yeah, tier 2 will be probably the next move here, the final tier 2 of the game. They haven't killed any of the inhibitors. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. They jump straight onto Xiaolanbao. He is dead. You have a Mikhail's Blessing for Photic, but Photic's been isolated, and he goes into the GA. They've gotten rid of so many of the tools here for the side of V5. The prison from the Aquafish of Nami is absolutely insane, and out of nowhere, though, they've made us a 2 for 2. They will flash away from Lumao, as Rookie is still a significant portion of V5's damage, but LNG not out of it just yet.
The fact that LNG are able to find the picks is so huge. Light and Lumao waiting in the brush. So much burst between them, and Lumao's buffing up Light. The passive damage coming through the electrocute. We're going to go straight into it. Not even expecting it to come through. Just look how much Light and Lumao's full combo does. Even Lumao landing the bubble. The CC chain there once again. And then Photic with nowhere to go does get locked down before he's able to flash over the wall. Doesn't matter. There was no Mikhail's because the Trundle went down. Your GA was just popped, and he is brought down as well. But Rookie, I mean, you do have 2 threats on the side of E5, right? It's not all up to the kog'maw because they were able to kite out the other 2 members of LNG to at least equalize the scoreline.
Yeah, and it's a big kind of momentum shift now. 20 seconds till the Dragon spawn. Still soul point for LNG. They don't feel comfortable. They don't have to fight this. But honestly, no exhaust, no flash, no GA. I think this is going to be your best moment right now to try and kill off Photic and then take the fight afterwards.
The fact that both AD carries are at full builds, like Rookie's close to his Rabadons, which should be his 5th, like we are getting to the point, right, where it's going to be all about how you execute. Still feel like for V5 it should be a little bit easier, but LNG have done a great job at playing around some of this vision, as you're right. They have no idea.
No idea, but the Dragon's going down. That's going to be confirmed and secured here by the side of V5, but the fight might not happen on their terms. They try and go in this one. That's going to be XLB going down, so it's a 4v5. They're going to use the immunity of Gwen as pandac, trying to get some work here with the needlework, but not quite able to. They're going to have a QSS used by Photic, who's not really able to plant his feet and do the damage. They don't get any more kills, but Baron's up and available, and you don't have a jungler as V5.
V5, though, at least do have, you know, DPS to come through to where, look at LNG, all of their ults are gone, and I'd say they are much more ult reliant than V5 is. So 4v5, we've seen them pull off 4v5s in hero plays before in team fights.
We have indeed. We've also seen them move away from the Baron and definitely the lesser of the 2 teams. But here we go. Photic trying to get this over the wall. The Baron down to 4,000 HP. They're going to be able to try and burst this one down. Here it goes. No! Stolen! Photic gets it! They didn't smite! Tarzan didn't smite! Oh, it's a rookie error for LNG, and it's disaster for them.
What is this game? Like, we have V5, they were supposed to be the best team in the league. We have LNG, who's been looking better recently. And both these teams keep finding areas to exploit of the others, to keep taking advantage of the mistakes coming through. And oh my god, are we going to be in for a long one? Are we going to be in for a 50-minute fiesta coming through?
No, I can't do it. It's just... Let's have a look at this one here, because how low does it go? Because yes, Photic just damaged, but I didn't think it was over at 900 smite.
I mean, we're going to take a look. I mean, V5 are doing a nice job of, like, kind of zoning out some of the other members. Gets right to... I mean, we saw it hit at, like, about the 800 mark, right, and then able to come through. I think both Rookie and Photic were both spamming their spells on that one. But Tarzan is going to be kicking himself for the fact that he wasn't able to secure that objective.
No, and it's always one of those things. I think Tarzan's been exceptional with his engages, but it's those one moments, those one mistakes that can be the difference. The TP coming in, they know he's there though. They had vision on him, so they know exactly that he's coming in on top of this. Or did they? They just need to have an idea that he's coming in on top of this one here, but they don't know exactly where. So not quite sure where he's going. Will he be able to? He will. So he just TPs and gets himself a little bit of extra time. So just wastes a couple of seconds of the Baron and gets himself back out into the map. But I like the idea coming out here from the LNG. Again, they know it's all about the flanks. It's all about positioning.
Yes, so they're constantly looking for that. 4v5, though, we kind of hit on when they have Baron, it feels like it is a lot harder for LNG to find those moments. even just walking up to hit the cannon minion is so much harder for them. So V5 are going to finally be able to guarantee some inhibitors to go down. We don't have the TP on pandac anymore. We'll see if Doinb maybe manages to find an angle, because we've seen, right, if one member gets locked down for a second, the burst between all the members is enough to just take them out of a fight outright.
Doinb's on a TP. Rich is already down below half HP. He's actually getting almost completely obliterated. They go in, they get stasis out of him, and now they're going to try and jump into Photic, but now he's rookie trying to see if he can get away from this one. The kog'maw's dead again. They got the two big frontliners on the backside of this one as well, as pandac tries to make it work onto ppgod and XLB. Again and again, LNG are finding the windows in these fights.
And it's a lot of it coming down to the vision they're keeping up as well, right? They're constantly having wards behind V5, finding cheeky places to put them and make sure they're not getting taken out by control wards. Because you look, V5 do actually have a bunch of control wards down, but they're not spotting out anything, and LNG now able to keep pushing V5 further into their base and should probably be able to take mid lane turn off of this.
Yeah, they should be able to possibly break up on the base as well. You do have rookie though, so some decent wave clear, but as I say that, he gets jumped on straight away, like just about kept alive, but he has a GA, so he knows he's gonna be K. They get rookie. Shaolan Bao is gonna be left to try and just defend this one, and Tarzan goes into a GA of his own. He's very, very low. You need Tarzan to be staying alive right now if you want to try and keep this comeback going for LNG. They don't get the inhibitor turret. They know the timers are coming back up, but these staggered death timers are going to slow down V5.
Definitely going to slow down, and I mean, just the fact that we're even in this position is pretty crazy. We're going to go straight back to the flank. Again, LNG know exactly what their win condition is in these fights. Doinb being a little bit patient is like it's huge damage on the Rich, because he doesn't just want to get focused and zoned out by one member. So he throws all of his cooldowns, knows he cannot keep trading with Photic, so he gets away. But luckily, Light and pandac are right behind him. They take down the President, and then pandac able to keep following up with the damage that he has. Another thing to highlight, Photic has sold the Mercurial and has actually picked up Aranduin's now. So trying to index into more armor to be able to have, especially with the amount of damage that Light's doing.
Yeah, I think it's just, you can't Mercurial and Mikhail's Blessing and everything in, in perfect synergy. You're kind of relying on your enemy team, and that's the big thing. It's all about timing when it comes out to these active items. So now 10 seconds till the dragon spawns. Honestly, I don't think that LNG are going to be too upset if they lose this, but they've got Tarzan down below on that bot side to try and maybe look for a bit of a flank. Still
they keep doing it.
They still keep doing it, and they still keep looking for it. They now that Tarzan's there though because of the sweeper, so he's been spotted out and now needs to run away. They're going to try and push them back now with the Weavers wall and maybe make this one work for themselves. Doinb looking to try and see if he can find an angle. You can see pandac is getting slowed up. Tarzan can get in. Stolen! The AD carries versus the junglers. The junglers don't have a smite button, and now Tarzan in a 1v1 against Rich. They do land the glacial prison, but XLB in a lot of trouble. Photic goes forward and immediately has to get the wild growth. They do take down pandac, but Photic is the target as he flashes away. Rookie and Photic are so low, but they know they need to fight this team. They know they need to try and push forward because they have an advantage. They get down the Doinb mid laner as Light tries to go away. Photic goes forward, and Photic is huge. He goes back down into GA because he knows he's got it available to him. And after all is said and done, Lumao is left all by himself. LNG got the soul, but V5 will pick up the win.
In the end, they were able to protect the member they needed. Photic stayed alive, and that is all V5 needed to be able to take this.
Such a back and forth game, and Lyric, I am delighted to tell you and our viewers that is game one of our best of three. God, I love the LPL, and that was an absolute certified banger of a way to start this series.
that game was just so crazy. Like, considering from where we started, of the momentum that V5 had in the early game, to then, when V5 just started throwing it away, and we're getting, like, picked off, right? LNG realized, of like, hey, they're constantly looking down towards bot side, so then we always saw Tarzan hovering, and we saw LNG kind of walking as a three-man core. Tarzan was always next to Light and Lumao, so they were finding members of V5 either, like, by themselves or walking in pairs, so they were always able to take them down. And then just, like, this back and forth of, okay, Photic is extremely confident and extremely greedy, looking for these kills. He's getting punished. Well, now we're seeing LNG not able to find the flanks because V5 are doing a great job of marking it. Now they are finding the flanks. I don't know, Oisin. It's so convoluted. That's why it's back and forth. And what was that game? You tell me what that game was. I don't know.
I mean, that game, it was a testament to just how good these two teams can be. Honestly, I think that it showed that I'm very positive to what LNG can bring now into this series. Yes, they did lose the game. It's very heartbreaking because they gave it absolutely everything, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. But just the smallest little margins coming out here. Photic just getting the flash away, not going to the GA super early, because if he's not consistently putting out DPS, that doesn't go the side of LNG, the side of V5. The fact that Rich stays alive, the fact that they're able to just constantly keeping up these shieldings from ppgod, little small margins that make the difference in these team fights. And honestly, I cannot wait for game 2 and potentially, hopefully, please, game 3, because that was just such a close affair.
Yeah, I mean, that game was decided by one team fight, right? I mean, there's a world where they find easier access onto the kog'maw in that last fight. Like, maybe, like, I didn't notice if maybe some needleworks missed, but you were able to lock him down. He got so close to dying. Then LNG win the game. LNG literally win the game right then and there. So it is nice to see, especially when we said, kind of for us, as what we want to see from LNG, is just keeping it competitive. It's just making sure that they can go toe-to-toe with these teams, because you've been swapping your roster all split long. It's just about finding consistency with the roster you can build with, and then hopefully go into playoffs with a bit of momentum. To where for V5, this was a lot sloppier than I think you want to see for a team that just dropped the series, and a team who, let's be honest, got close to the finish line in spring and then just wasn't able to deliver. And my God, shout out to Light for being able to deliver in this game after being put down so far.
Again, yeah, like we headed up as a the Lucian doesn't do as much in the late game, but Light was doing consistent damage. We saw it so many times where XLB and Rich thought they could just walk forward. Light put about 2 combos